Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Outlaws and Gunslingers Mafia Edition with your host Bang and Dang. And just like last episode, this episode is going to be about a couple more gentlemen.
We need to get out of the Genovese crime family because these guys are freaking ghosts.
We're almost there. We got a couple more that we still need to cover from these guys, but
no stories out of these.
Like last episode, we'll cover a few guys that were responsible for keeping the family afloat while old Vito was in prison. The last ones being Anthony Strollo and Thomas Eberle. And this time we're going to focus on Gerardo Catena, Michele Miranda, and Phil Lombardo, who actually became Phil Lombardo, though, became the actual boss until like the 80s. Which this guy, out of all three of these guys, one was the actual boss for years upon years.
Right.
And he has the least amount of story written about him or available about him on the internet. All three of these guys don't. But that's the way the Genovese family liked it. We'll start out with Gerardo Jerry Catena. He was ranked as the fourth richest mobster in the United States by Fortune magazine during his day.
No shit.
He was born January 8th, 1902 in South Orange, New Jersey to Francesco and Donata Spezzali. He was married to Catherine McNally and was the father to Patricia, Geraldine, Donna, Vicky, and Richard.
Okay.
Dude, it's the most white-sounding names ever. Usually they have, like, some Italian-sounding stuff.
Okay.
He was the brother of Eugene, Mary, Frederico, and Sadie Delisante. Good for him. He made early connections to Jewish gangster Longies Willman, who was the Detroit guy, working as a bodyguard and chauffeur. Later, he worked for racketeer Willie Moretti. Although through Moretti, he made connections with Luciano, Costello, Adonis, and Genovese.
And that's when it all came to fruition.
There we go.
Boom, 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 baby. Catena had a younger bro. His name was Gene, who followed him into the rackets. I'm following my brother everywhere. My brother goes where I go. The Catena bros were very smart, capable leaders, but Jerry was very business savvy. He learned from Longies Willman to diversify his interests.
That's what they say. Even with stocks, diversify, man.
Yep. And Catena had as many legal businesses as illegal.
Good for him, right? So he's got some that are making legitimate money and some making...
You got to watch it.
Right.
Did they watch it back then?
Probably. Money laundering, yeah, for sure.
Oh, here I am thinking it's 1860 still, Civil War.
It's 1930s, 20s now.
Right. So, yeah, of course they're watching it, you moron. Later, it has been confirmed that Catena moved to New York City to join forces with Lucky Luciano and Meyer Lansky, who we just did an episode on. He did that during the early 1920s when the rise of two mafia dons named Giuseppe Joe the Boss Mazzaria and Salvatore Maranzano. They began fighting a bloody internal battle called the Castellamarese War, which we did all of those names in wars you've seen there, guys. Got it all. As the time passed, Charles Luciano went to prison, and he was later deported to Italy in 1940s, as we said before. Genovese.
Not only have we said before,
Right.
We've literally said every episode.
So that left Genovese organized in the shooting of the boss of Lucky's crime family, Frank Costello, in 1957, which Frank said, all right, you tried to kill me, I'm done. I'm going to step down, take it.
You can have it, Vito.
Apparently, Catena is to have risen through the ranks, as he was listed as the underboss in the late 1950s, heading the New Jersey faction of Genovese crime family under the leadership of Vito.
Yeah, he was attending the so-called Appalachian meeting as well, or Appalachian meeting in 1957, and was one of the 100 who were indicted after the convention, following the arrest of Vito in 1959. As Genovese and many others of the Genovese crime family were under indictment, Catena began cooperating with longtime captains Anthony Tony Bender Strollo.
I bet he did.
Michele Big Mike Miranda and Thomas Eberle, who were unofficially running the Genovese crime family.
Right. They're saying it was all these guys.
Right.
I mean, it was a shaky time in Genovese family right there.
Nobody knew what was going to happen, man. Genovese tried running it from prison, but...
Lucky's in Italy and Cuba.
Right.
Genovese, who's really running it, really? Supposedly Genovese. But Luciano...
Lucky didn't have nothing to do with it
He was
right
a
now.
boss, though.
He was the one responsible for setting up the plan to get Genovese put in prison, but it didn't work because Genovese was still running it.
Right. After the imprisonment of Genovese in 1959, a committee ruling panel was to run the Genovese crime family, which consisted of Catena, Lombardo, and Eberle, who was murdered in 1972, I believe.
He sure was. We just covered that.
And Michele Miranda, This administration continued to run the family throughout the 60s and early 70s. I mean, it worked.
It did. Catena was also a vending machine racketeer with interests in People's Express Company, Advanced Vending Company, Runyon Vending Sales Company, and Trend Metals / Cool Vent Awning Company.
Fantastic.
All based in Newark. He owned Points in the Sands, the Fremont, and the Horseshoe Casinos, and was a major stockholder in Bally Corp, which is Bally Sports.
Oh, yeah.
Who manufactured jukeboxes, pinball, and slot machines. Catena's brother also owned a distributing firm called Best Sales. They got a contract from Ecology Corp, a subsidiary of the North American Chemical Company, to distribute a detergent called Polyclean.
Okay. Fantastic. Polyclean, huh? The FDA had labeled their product dangerous to users. It didn't bother Catena Brothers or the North American Company, though. Whatever. The North American Company sales jumped from $3 million to $5 million in 1 year when Best Sales became the exclusive distributor.
I bet it did.
The Catena Bros sent representatives to the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. A&P, that's what it was called. It was a grocery store chain to inquire about the selling their product. A&P did their research and wanted no part of the substandard detergent. They're like, nah, I don't want none of that. Catena Bros had other ideas, though. Suddenly, A&P stores started burning down. First, then another. 6 stores totaling $60 million in damages.
Jeez. Wow. Since A&P was a national chain, they didn't realize they were being muscled. Several managers were beaten, 2 were murdered, 1 died by suicide, supposedly.
Right.
Gene Catena, or Jerry Catena, was recorded saying he wanted to knock A&P's brains in. A&P contacted law enforcement, and not wanting the attention of law enforcement, the brothers backed off.
Right.
Like, all right. Later in 1967, North American Chemical realized who owned Best Sales, and they tried to discontinue the relationship.
Ooh.
But Jerry Catena agreed with North American that they must pay him $24,000 a year for 13 years to stop being with North America.
Okay.
So they're like, all right, you want out? You pay me $24,000 a year for 13 years. And they're like, okay, whatever.
Jeez, Catena was
This guy, dude, he didn't need to do anything else.
Right, man. He was this guy. Catena was incarcerated, though, at the Yardsville State Prison, which is now the Garden State Youth Correctional Facility. He was there from 1970 to 1975 because he had refused to testify for the New Jersey, before the New Jersey State Commission investigation. After his incarceration, Catena was allegedly semi-retired due to illness. Became officially retired after his release in 1975. He moved to Boca Raton in Florida that very same year. Jerry Catena died, natural causes, April 23, year 2000, age of 98.
Dude, this dude lived out the life for those last 30 years or 40 years, whatever, 75, 25 years. Probably still getting money from the mob. Dude, yeah.
Just imagine him just thinking, man, 50 years ago, dude. 50 years ago, I was running shit.
Running shit.
I was a man.
Killing people, and now he's just old.
Probably longer than 50 years ago.
Yeah, in the 1920s.
I was only 48. Yeah, 70 years ago, I was running shit. Can you imagine?
Dude's 98 and 70 years ago was literally murdering people and doing all this shit.
Like, yeah, I remember working at this place. It was about 65 to 70 years ago.
This is crazy, dude.
I think it's weird when I say 20 years.
I know.
Yeah,
Imagine people saying,
well,
well, like 50 years ago I did this. Like, shit, dude. Wow. Yeah. Catena, though, huh? Look good for him. 2000, died 98.
Crazy.
The mobsters that make it usually make it when they're like 90s or early hundreds and shit.
Right.
That's going to move us to Michaela Big Mike Miranda, who was a longtime member and eventual consigliere of the Genovese crime family and one of the most powerful New York gangsters in the 50s and 60s.
Fantastic.
He was born in San Giuseppe Vesuviano in the province of Naples. His birth date is uncertain, though.
We don't know.
Most sources agree he was born in July, though. The New York Times reports he is 82 when he died, which would put his birth at 1891. But according to state and federal records of his death, Michaela was born on July 26, 1892, or July 27, 1893.
Whatever. He was 80 years old.
His Find a Grave page gives his birth year as 1892. The FBI claims he was born on July 26, 1896, but no official records exist, so we don't know.
Right.
But he's more likely the 1892 one. Miranda immigrated with his family to the United States in 1905 and settled in
That's all
New
they
York.
can do. That's all they can do is win the family
Dude,
game.
Miranda and the next guy, Lombardo, are one of the two hardest guys I've ever done information on. Like this find a grave stuff.
Crazy.
You had to go I had to go to literally 16 different pages
Right.
for both of these guys just to get the little shit that we're about to read about them.
Right.
It's just stupid.
Well, becoming involved in crime as a teenager, his first arrest was for petty theft and also assault in 1915. He also served 30 days in jail for picking pockets.
He was a pickety pocket.
He was a pickety pocket for picking pockets at Coney Island
Oh,
that year.
dude, all those tourists, he probably had freaking so much. Yeah.
That very same year, his brother Antonio went to prison for carrying a gun. At this time, Big Mike, he lives with Antonio.
Damn, well, I didn't know we were doing a story about Obama.
Right. At this time, Big Mike lives with Antonio at 178 Mulberry Street in Little Italy.
Little Italy.
During Prohibition, Miranda became an associate of Gaetano Tommy Brown Lucchese. Yeah, Gaetano Lucchese, and was affiliated with the Rihanna crime family of the Bronx.
Oh, somehow he comes to the Genoveses, though, huh? November 29, 1926, he married Lucia Di Lorenzo and had a son named Anthony, who was born in 1934. 29, Big Mike files a declaration of intention to become a citizen and is naturalized in 1932. 1930 census records list him and his wife living at 354 Broome Street in Manhattan.
Fantastic.
In 1931, following the end of the Castello Marizzi War, he became close to the Luciano crime family underboss Vito and became a made man
Oh, shit.
of that crime family shortly thereafter.
No shit.
He frequently acted as enforcer for Chuck.
For Chuck.
It would be Chucky Lucky Luciano.
Chucky
man.
Lucky. Lucky Chucky.
Lucky Chucky. Miranda frequently acted as an enforcer for Lucky Luciano and Genovese, along with the occasional hit for the crime family itself.
Nice.
As the decade progressed, Miranda kept rising through the ranks
Look at this guy. He's just, man.
and making the most of his opportunities.
I'm going places.
Right.
1940s, Miranda used his former ties with Lucchese as a stepping stone and becoming the Luciano's family's overseer of their activities in Manhattan's garment district. He's like, let me deal with the code. Look at me. Final suits
Look at
every
this
day.
suit, damn
my
it.
shoots are my shoes are shined and brand new every day. Every day.
Every day. That's how they talk back then. Every day.
After execution of Lepke Buckhalter.
Hey guys, Lepke Buckhalter.
We've been talking about him for like episodes.
He's been in every episode. Lepke Buckhalter is going to be our next episode, by the way. Not technically a part of Genovese's family, but hey, gotta give us.
He's part of the.
Sometimes there's guys that aren't in a family.
Right.
Obviously, we're gonna have to cover like Meyer Lansky. He was never officially in a family.
Right. Because he was Jewish and he couldn't be.
Right.
Okay, so after Lepke Buckhalter's murder in 1944, Lucchese took control of Buckhalter's garment industries rackets for the Lucchese crime family.
I bet he did.
August 7th, 1944. He is indicted along with Vito for the number of...
He being
Lucky.
Miranda.
Oh, Miranda. August 7th, 1944, Miranda and Vito is indicted for the murder of Ferdinand Baccia in 1934.
Yep.
That's 10 years later, damn. He flees to Italy with Vito, but returns after the charges are dismissed in 1947.
And it wouldn't be for another damn near 20 years that Vito takes control of the family.
Well, he came in 1947 when Ontario Witness was murdered.
Yeah.
They finally figured out who it was. Got rid of that guy.
I said, bye. No case against us, baby. And it was
Dismissed.
13 years later after the freaking indicted.
Yeah.
What the hell? Or no, 44 he was indicted. So 3 years later after. Miranda soon became one of the top capos in the family. He was a topo capo. A highly respected and feared gangster who many say was mostly diplomatic, but wasn't afraid to be ruthless if need be. Isn't that like all of them?
Right.
Miranda.
A lot of them were douchebags.
Just like Vito.
Yeah. Just want to be a dummy.
Right. Miranda had criminal interests in illegal gambling, loan sharking, and labor racketeering. Oh, that's like checklist 1, 2, 3 of what you need to be a mafia guy.
Right.
Throughout this period, Miranda kept close ties to his mentor and one of the top bosses in the family, who was Genovese, obviously. 1950 federal census, his address is listed at 167 Greenway North, and his occupation is listed as a car dealer.
I bet. Why not? 2nd of May, 1957, Genovese ordered the assassination of Luciano crime boss Frank Costello. Even though the hit
Hey,
failed.
guys, I bet you By the time we're done with the Genovese family,
Right.
you guys are gonna know. You guys are gonna be able to recite the date that Frank Costello was almost assassinated
Right.
to a T. dude.
Exactly, because it was May 2nd, 1957. Even
I've
though
only said it 27 times.
and even though Costello, the hit failed and Costello still lived,
Yes, we know.
I'm like, hey, Costello's like, yo, dog, I'm done. Let me go home.
Yeah.
You can have it. You can have it. And they're like, all right. But Genovese still hated the guy. He wanted him dead.
He did. He wanted him dead.
But Lucky was like, listen here, you son of a bitch. I talk to this guy when I need help.
well,
So does
everybody else.
Gambino and all those guys. They love this guy.
well, maybe not Gambino.
They all did. Genovese named Miranda as consigliere,
He did.
making him the number 3 man after Genovese and underboss Catena.
Yep.
14th November 1957, Miranda, Genovese, Catena, and about 60 other mafia bosses were apprehended by federal agents at the famous Appalachian Conference in Appalachian, New York. We did a show on that. Check that out.
In the Havana one. Yeah.
He is sent to prison for 2 years for obstruction for refusing to speak with authorities. Wow. You should have spoke with them.
Yeah, so him and Catena were both G's, dude, and never both took 2-year prison sentences for not speaking.
Like, I don't talk. No.
You tell me.
You
You
police.
tell me.
You tell me. Who's shooting that gun? You police.
You tell me.
FBI informant would later say that, in his opinion, Joe Profaci, Vito, Joe Profaci, Vito, and Big Mike were probably the 3 highest-ranking members at the meeting.
Seriously.
No, not the Appalachian meeting.
Yes.
They were all there.
Yeah, but Genovese family, especially right now, is the most powerful. So anybody 1, 2, 3 to 4 is the most powerful guys.
It's true. It's true.
And Joe Profaci, yeah, he took over the which I think became the Lucchese family or something.
Lucchese or no, not the Gambino.
The Colombo or the Bonanno or I don't know what the hell, but it was the Profaci family for a minute. 1958, Genovese was indicted on narcotics charges set up by Lucky, Meyer Lansky, and Costello. So Costello got his revenge.
Damn right
He was
did.
sentenced to 15 years at the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary in Atlanta. While serving his sentence, Genovese placed the family under the leadership of a 3-man ruling panel made up of acting boss Thomas, Ebele, Catena, and Miranda, which we've already said. Other people think that it was actually Lombardi that was doing some things too. Genovese would relay orders from his prison cell to the panel members as they ran the day-to-day activities. Law enforcement continued to pursue Miranda and other mafia bosses after this, though. Of
course
we
they did.
need to get them all.
Right. October 1965. New York Police Department arrested Miranda and Ebele for parole violations of consorting with known criminals.
These guys,
Yeah,
I
you
guess.
guys-
You're not allowed to.
They arrested them together. Dude.
Right.
Dude. guys.
Like, come on.
Come on. Really? Really?
We caught you guys.
Seen you guys here yesterday eating. I was like, well, you know what? Maybe they just ran into each other. Today again? Come on. Come on.
Right.
Well, they arrested them, but both men were released within a week.
Yep. Well, all men.
Yeah, all the
If
men.
you remember from the Ebele episode, it was Gambino. I think there was like 12
bunch
guys.
of them, yeah.
It was a bunch of people.
September-
So obviously they're idiots. They're all like 12 of them meeting at a freaking deli or something. Stupids.
September 22, 1966. Miranda and 12 other high-level mafia members, including bosses from New York, New Orleans, and Florida, were arrested at La Stella restaurant in Queens. Miranda was once again charged with consorting with known criminals.
Don't you learn your lesson?
Each man had to put up $100,000 in bail. A
Jeez.
total of $1.3 million for all men. See,
And this is in 1966.
Yeah.
They're just doing it for the bail money.
right. The police department. Is
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Dude, we can just get them for bail money and get 1.3 in our pocket right quick.
Right.
So these guys are freaking.
I know the charges. Well, I don't know how much is. Well, I guess charges.
Well, the police department
I guess if charges are dropped, but how many of these guys actually go to trial?
Right.
And you have to have court cases. How much does it cost the taxpayer, though?
Yeah, so actually, the department is a mob too.
Clearly.
1.3 million. 1972, Miranda retired from active involvement in the family affairs. September 16, 1973, Miguel Miranda died of natural causes in Boca Raton.
They all go to Boca Raton, man.
He is buried at St. John Cemetery in Queens, though. New York Times article announcing his death lists his burial at Woodlawn Cemetery.
But it's actually the St. John Cemetery. New York Times is stupid, which they've
probably did it on
they've
purpose.
clearly been for 100 years. Yeah, Boca Raton. Mobster, dude, there's got to be like a
Yeah.
article or some highlighting the...
I bet. Early history right there, baby. Air.
It's one of the safest cities in Palm Beach County with a crime rate 38% lower than the entire state of Florida.
Damn.
It's because all a bunch of mobsters live there, dude. So there's got to be like a history of Boca Raton with the mobsters, like there was for Hot Springs or something.
I bet you.
There is.
Says it right there.
We'll have to go there.
Benny Squints.
It's going to bring us to Phil Benny Squints Lombardo, who has the shortest story of all these guys, but he was actually freaking the actual leader.
Right.
He also known as Benny Squint, Phil Lombardo was, and Cockeyed Phil. He was the boss of the Genovese crime family from the late 60s until the beginning of the 80s.
Born in 1908.
He was. Well, we're going to get there, clearly. Right? I think.
Right now.
Nope, we're not. We don't even have an early life story on this guy.
Yes.
He was born in 1908 in New York City. From the 60s until the... he was... whoa. He succeeded Vito as boss in 1969 and was succeeded by Vincent Gigante, which will probably be our... After Lepke.
Right.
Lepke will be our next guy. And he don't even have a story. And this dude was boss till 2000 or something. Yeah. He was succeeded by Gigante in 1981. Lombardo began his career as a soldier on Michael Trigger Mike Coppola's powerful 116th Street crew in the East Harlem section of New York.
Nice.
During the 40s, Lombardo served a brief prison stretch for narcotics trafficking, his only imprisonment. So like the other guy.
Right.
Due to his thick eyeglasses, Lombardo earned the nickname Benny Squint.
Benny Squint. All right.
Benny Squint.
The year is 1955. Nope. The year is 1959. The boss of the Genovese crime family is Vito Genovese. He's sent to prison. However, Genovese used a series of acting bosses to maintain control of the family from prison. His three acting bosses, as we said before, was Miranda, Catena, and Eboli
and Catena. You botched both last names.
Catena and Eboli and Miranda. The trio panel was known to authorities, but in 1962, former mobster turned government witness Joseph Valachi, he stated before a U.S. Senate subcommittee that Lombardo was also a part of this same panel. And that very same year, Anthony Strollo disappeared and was presumed moided.
Oh, not presumed. He got moided for show. Strollo's role as a front or acting boss was given to Eboli. Eboli himself was later gunned down in 1972.
Crazy.
It had been theorized that Commission Chairman Carlo Gambino had orchestrated Eboli's murder in order to install his own candidate for the boss of the family of Genovese's family of Alphonse Frank Funzi Thierry.
That didn't happen.
Who would replace Eboli as front boss shortly after Eboli's murder.
No.
However, according to the FBI informant Vincent Caffaro, Lombardo has been boss since 1969 and had been using Eboli and Thierry as decoys. Thierry did take over.
Right.
But he had been using them as decoys to insulate himself from the FBI. That's why the Genovese family, nobody knows about these guys.
Nobody knows who does what.
Stupid.
These guys are nobodies. The real bosses are still out there.
Right. Well, Lombardi was.
Right. During the 1980s, Thierry manipulated members of the Philadelphia crime family into murdering their boss, Angelo Bruno.
We'll have that guy.
He was shot to death in his car in 1980.
He was.
And then killed off those same members of the Philly mob to cover their tracks. Damn.
So, moral of the story, when a mob guy asks you to kill a boss,
you need to leave.
Yeah, just get out of there.
Just do it and then
agree to it and then literally leave, because they're going to kill you afterwards.
Right. Because
agree to it. Don't do it.
No, you want to do it.
No,
because if you don't do it, they're really gonna try to find you.
They're gonna try to find you anyways because you're a loose end. Right. You're even more of a loose end now that you did it.
Right. Agree to it.
And agree to it and get the hell out of there and don't ever come back because they're gonna murder you too probably.
Yep. Go to the White House.
All you need is some cocaine. They'll cover for you.
Are you on the list?
It's like a bell.
Yeah. They've been expecting
this way, sir.
Lombardo was
hunters in the executive suite.
Lombardo was probably involved into this. Lombardo was probably involved in this too, as he was at the very least the de facto boss. And
saying that Lombardo was involved in Bruno's murder,
right? And probably the official boss during that very time.
Oh, not probably.
He probably had the final say.
Probably.
Whether the plan could go ahead.
Right. Well, he definitely
Most likely, Lombardo was the man.
1981, Thierry died, and Lombardo stepped down as boss due to poor health, naming Vincent Gigante as his successor. While at the same time making Anthony Fat Tony Salerno, which will have the new front boss in order to disguise Gigante's transition into the new boss. So Fat Tony to the FBI was the boss, but Gigante was the actual boss.
Right.
See, Genovese is the only one that does this. This way, the FBI would still not know who was really in charge and would continue to go after the wrong people, which they did. Sentencing Salerno to 100 years in prison in 1986 in the Mafia Commission trial, which we covered.
And he just did it.
Of course he did.
He didn't flip.
Of course he did. He's in there slicing, not flipped, but he's in the prison slicing garlic into thin-ass slices to throw into the freaking, the gravy.
The gravy.
The gravy.
They did do that.
They did do that.
Although Lombardo resided in Inglewood, New Jersey, he spent his remaining winters in Hollywood, Florida. He made it clear that Gigante was to become the new boss, and Salerno would continue as the front boss. He was 78 years old and living in Florida when he died, April 29th, 1987. These guys go out and
all these guys, every single one of these three guys that we just covered, as opposed to Strollo and Ebele, who both got moited.
Right.
They both got moited for doing some stupid shit. These guys ran the family, did what they were supposed to do, got old, and said, it's time to hand it down to the next guy, and they die at 98 years old, 70-something years old, rich as hell, living their life in Boca Raton.
Secret Service guarding them.
And this dude went into Hollywood, Florida, which is just like Boca Raton, pretty much. All three of these guys, all right, good for them.
My bosses are like ex-presidents.
Pretty much. No.
Seriously.
They get details. They get
all of it.
Security details. They're like taken care of, dude. You'll never have to live. You never have to work
again in your life
unless you're like a stupid person.
And you're still respected by the bosses.
Right. You're the OGs, dude.
Right.
Next up, well, after we have to cover Buckhalter next, but after that it'll be Vincent Gigante, who they say he was the leader from 81 to 2005.
I didn't say that.
And he has not very much of a story. More than almost 25 years of running the family, he has not really a story.
About 10 minutes.
And that's according to Wikipedia. Which obviously going to have to search a few more websites for that. He was also a boxer.
Weren't they all?
Had a win-loss record of 21-4. So only won by KO though. Yeah, Vincent Gigante, and then we'll probably cover. Well, he was acting boss because he was in prison in 1997. So we got a bunch of acting bosses between then.
Is this
Laborio Bellomo,
Genovese?
Yeah, Dominic Chirillo, Matthew Anello, Daniel Leo, and then the current boss they say is Laborio Bellomo.
They say like a boss.
And then as far as street bosses, I don't think we have much to cover. Pagano, because all the street bosses became bosses, obviously. Under bosses, a lot of them became.
These guys. Oh, Vincent Terranova, we didn't do him.
Yeah, we did.
Did we do Terranova?
You covered him with Morello, remember?
Sure.
Yeah, because he was one of the
artichoke.
First. Yeah, the artichoke. Yeah.
Okay.
We still have Salerno, Fat Tony Salerno. Thierry will cover. Mangano, Venero Mangano, Barbado. Other than that, all the other guys, Louis Manna maybe. A few more guys. We got a few more guys from.
Body Longo.
Yeah, we got a few more. Current family members are on here, but none of them have anything. We don't know anything about these guys. Michael Ragusa is this current street boss. Underboss is Ernest Muscarella. The consigliere is unknown. This is still how the Genovese family is, dude. Yep. Nobody even knows who this consigliere is.
How not? Nobody.
Right.
They can try to say who a boss is.
Well, we know the bosses.
What do you think?
There's a lot of people that are here. Former members, none of them you can click on. Oh, but we do have some informants from them. Joseph Velacci, Vincent Cafaro, which is two notable ones, and all the others you can't click on, so they did nothing. Maybe we'll have like the last episode. No,
it says it right there.
Well, I'm saying that we'll cover that, like who turned on him and all that shit. Yeah. Probably Buckhalter next week, and then Gigante, we'll try to dig up as much shit on him for the next week's episode after that, and then we'll have another committee episode probably of Bellomo, Cirillo, and Nello. plus Leo probably, because those guys probably don't have any stories. And we'll back then. Make sure you go check it out according to Wikipedia, where this week's episode, after covering 2 parts of the actual Wikipedia article on Wikipedia, we are covering Sumer, the Sumerians, which is the first known establishment or place in Mesopotamia. So back in the day, we're going way back in the day for the Sumerians. Everybody's heard of the Sumerians, ancient history, all that good stuff. All that. It's in Iraq, so yeah, that was pre-Iraq. And on that, and then Battles of the American Civil War, where we're going to cover the 2 other battles, but most notably the Second Battle of Fort Wagner, which is notable for the 54th Massachusetts, and the Glory movie that was made after that. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up on our podcast. So make sure you're going to Bang Dang Network on YouTube, subscribing, clicking that bell, and also Apple, Spotify, leaving some reviews and maybe some comments or something like that. Do it. And we'll be back next week for Lepke Buckhalter. We are the Monthly Michiganders with
Bang Dang.